Hello, welcome to Viscount Leisure. I'm just going to take you on a quick tutorial video around this Coachman VIP 520 that we've got, just to make sure we understand how the basics operate, how we use things in the van, and how we drain down the van at the end of it. So we'll just go through it all, make sure that we know what we are doing. First things first, what we want to do when we get to site is make sure that we are starting with a level playing field. So we want to make sure our caravan is nice and level. All right, so that's front to back and also side to side as well. We level on the jockey wheel for front to back. So this is our jockey wheel at the front here, so we can wind up and wind down. This will lower or raise the hitch head. Okay, you want some kind of spirit level, ideally on the floor inside the van, really, just to make sure that it is sitting nice and level front to back. We then want to make sure we are level side to side as well, and the way we can use that is using our leveling wedges. There's a couple in the front here, as you can see, and what we would do is drive one side of the van up on a leveling wedge to raise one side to make sure we're level side to side. Generally most pitches are level side to side, but you may want to make some small adjustments, A, for your comfort, and B, everything will work slightly better inside if everything is of course level. Once we've leveled it, we then put down our corner steadies. We've got one on each corner, as you can see, and we have a winding bar that will be in your front locker there, and we wind the steadies down till they're nice and firmly on the ground. That way, when we're walking around inside the van, it's not going to be bouncing around all over the place. But what we mustn't do is use these to level the caravan. They're not designed to take that kind of pressure. So make sure you level the caravan on the jockey wheel and your leveling wedges. Then we put our corner steadies down afterwards, purely to steady the van, hence the name. Okay, once we're level, we can then start to look at other bits and pieces around the van. So I'm just going to walk around the outside and just point some bits out to start off with. As we come around, we've obviously got our entrance door here. We've got our fridge vents just here. Nothing you need to really worry about these, but the fridge uses heat to cool, so it will pull the cool air in from the bottom and release the hot air out from the top. We've got the fridge running at the moment, so I can feel the warm air coming out of that. Again, nothing you need to do, but just so that you're aware of what they are. Coming along, we've got a locker in here which goes into underneath one of our bench seats at the front, so it's just access there. We have our outside gas barbecue point just here, and you can see we have the bayonet fitting here, which will go onto your gas hose, and that plugs into the bottom there. So we leave that attached to our barbecue all the time, or to the hose of our barbecue, and then we'll just plug that in and turn the gas on when we want to use our outdoor barbecue point. This one here is an outside power socket, which we can use when we're plugged into mains. It's 240 volts, so if we want to run an extension lead or something out into our awning, we can do. But that is what that is for. On this side, we've got one door here with two locks on it. This comes into our gas locker, so this is where we must keep our gas. It's set up for running propane at the moment, hence why we've got a red bottle in there. A couple of things of note, you can see we have straps here, so we must make sure our bottles are strapped in whilst travelling. To be fair, just leave them strapped in all the time, and when we're travelling, make sure the bottles are turned off. All right, so we have a wheel on the top, so we can turn the gas on or off at the moment, turn it on just to wind it up like so. So once we get to site, we'd come in here and open that up. This comes through our gas hose here, which goes into the side of the bottle. This is a hand-tight wheel, so there's no need for any spanners or anything, so make sure that's nipped up nice and tightly. But it does go in on the opposite thread that you would expect, so not lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. It goes the other way round. Okay, and just make sure that's nipped up nice and tightly. The gas then travels through our regulator here, which turns it into the working gas pressure for the van and sends it through to our appliances. All right, but the key is here, bottle strapped in, turned off when we're traveling. When we get to site, turn it on. We have our hitcher here. Now we'll do a full hitch up with you when you pick the van up, but we'll just go through a couple of bits and pieces. We are running 13 pin electrics here, as you can see, so you need to make sure that you've got that on your car, or if not, the right adapter, so that you can make sure everything works. We also have our Alco stabilising hitch head here as well. Here's your hitch lock already fitted to it as well. Thing to remember when we're having with tow bars, okay, if you're having one fitted, make sure that it is an Alco compatible one. If you need any help with that, please do let us know. But most removable ones or swan neck ones are absolutely fine. It's more the fitted ones on the back of the car where sometimes the spacing isn't quite right, but we can always help you with that if required. If it's a new tow ball, make sure the actual ball itself, all the paint has been removed, so get some sandpaper and just get rid of that. So it's a bare metal. The reason for that is we've got stabilising hitch pads in there which grab, almost brake pads, which push against the side of the ball to stop the caravan twitching around, so that needs something to grab onto. A smooth surface is no good. Again, if it's an existing tow ball and you've used grease on there, that needs to be fully removed. We don't want grease getting into that hitch head because it's going to make it null and void in terms of what it does as well. Alco ATC, when we plug in, we're looking for a green either a green flashing light or a green solid light, but you'll hear it all whirring away anyway when you plug it in. We've got our other gas locker here. Not gas locker, it's just a storage locker. This is our boiler fluid for our Audi heating, so when the boiler is running, this does get quite warm if you're running it on gas, so just bear in mind we don't want to cover that up. We then want to make sure we're getting water into the van, so you'll need some sort of water container, like an aqua roll. Okay, you'll then wheel that over to your tap, fill it up, bring it back to the van. You plug your bit into the side. This is our water pump, that goes straight in there, locks into place purely by pushing the cover down, and we drop the pump into the bottom of the barrel, making sure it's reaching all the way down to the bottom so that we don't waste any water. That way we're ready to start switching on our water pump inside and it doing what it needs to do. This is where our power comes into the van, two types of power, 12 volt from our battery. That will be running things like our lights, our water pump, our fridge panel and things like that. When we don't have mains power, the gas will then fill in to do our heating and our hot water, and also our fridge as well. So that is the 12 volt side of stuff. You can see we've also got a mains lead coming in here. This is for our 240 volt power. So if you've got access to mains power, then we'll plug it in our mains lead into here. Plug it into the van first and then walk it over to your post and plug it in there. That way we're not walking around with a live lead. And we do it the opposite way around when we are unplugging it, just so we're not walking around with a live power cable in our hand, just from a safety point of view. We can also shut this up. There's a little cutout, all right, and we can lock this away and still have our mains lead plugged in as well. You see we've got an auto engage power touch motor mover there. We'll have a look at that when you pick the van up, just to make sure you know how that operates. Our fresh water's gone in over here, and this is where our grey water comes out from. Okay, so we'd have a waste master laying down here, which will store our grey water as it comes out. Here's your water pipe, which will cut down to the right sections for you, but that's designed to fit into these. Okay, but anything that basically goes down a plug hole will come out of here. So shower, sink, kitchen sink, etc., etc. We've also got our toilet just here, so I'm just going to grab the keys and we'll open that up. And we'll just go through the toilet cassette. You've got two separate tanks really. You've got a flush tank, which is the door just at the top here. Okay, so this is where we keep, we put separate water in just purely for flushing the toilet, because we do add chemicals to that. So you're either going to add green or pink into here. That way, when we flush the toilet, you'll see coloured water coming out. What that will do is A, make things smell nice, and B, just keep everything lubricated and doing everything that it's supposed to be as well. And then when we flush the tank and we open the gate in the toilet, it will then all drop into our toilet cassette, which is set down here. Okay, when it's full, there's an indicator light on the toilet. We'll have a look at that in a sec. We'll tell you that it is full. We then pull this out. As you can see, it is on wheels, and we have an extendable handle, which we can pull out and wheel it along a bit like our suitcase at the airport. Once we get to our chemical disposal point, toilet disposal point on site, where there'll be a dedicated point for that, we're going to open the arm up here, take the cap off the end, and then press the button here. What this does is release the air pressure inside the unit, makes it easier when we are tipping everything down the point. Okay, there'll normally be a hose pipe of some description there as well. What I would suggest is adding a little bit more water, giving this a shake around just to get rid of the dregs out and empty it out again. You'll then add some chemical to this. It's either going to be blue or green, so depending on which one you're using, the instructions of how much to put in will be on the bottle of what you're using. You normally mix it with a little bit of water as well. What that does is help break everything down inside it when anything goes in there, and makes it easier to empty it when we do have to empty it, and also keeps it smelling slightly more pleasant as well. So yeah, make sure that you are doing that. This also doubles up to a little measuring cup if you need it to, but you'll soon get the hang of how much goes in with a few glugs here and there. This then slides back inside and locks into place. All right. When we're not using the van, we make sure we empty our flush tank and also empty our toilet cassette every time we finish using with it. The way we empty our flush tank is a little drain here. All right, so you just take the plug out the end and it will drain. It's almost worth sometimes having a little I don't know, like a little watering can or something for filling this up. Just makes life a little bit easier. You can see we've got all these seals around all of our lockers as well. I would suggest having some silicone spray to hand every now and again, periodically go around, do our all the rubbers around our lockers, all the rubbers around our windows and everything, just keeping them nice and soft and supple, and then they will do what they're supposed to do. Not forgetting, of course, you will need a a number plate depicting the car you're of course towing with when you pick the van up. Right, let's go inside and have a look at a few things. So what we have done, as we know, is we plugged our water in outside. We've got our wastewater ready to collect out there. We've turned on our gas. We're nice and level on site, and we're ready to start plumbing the van up with some water. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come to our panel up here. This is our main 12 volt panel for the van. So what we're going to do is come in and press the on button, and that will turn this panel on. It's a little symbol there telling me I'm plugged into mains. All right, we've got a little menu we can run through if we want to. It tells you the internal temperature of the van. It's 31. I can vouch for that in here at the minute. It tells you the battery voltage as well. This one here will do all of the lights inside the van. So if we're leaving for the day, you don't want to find every individual light switch, we can just press that button and it will turn them all off. The one below it does our awning light outside, and this one here does our water pump. All right, but before we turn that on, we're going to come and just make sure all of our taps are closed, because we'll normally leave them open when we're not using the van, and we'll talk about that later. So close all of the taps, and also close our boiler drain valve. Here's our boiler here, our Aldi boiler. So this is, we fill this up with water, of course, and that warms the water up and sends it through to our hot taps. You'll see a little yellow switch here, down here, toggle. This is our boiler drain valve. You will find it in the upwards position like that. When you want to use the van, flick it back down, and then what we'll be able to do is start pumping water in. You've also got another one over here, so we do exactly the same thing. There's the two. One is the cold leg of the system, one is the hot leg of the system. All right, so make sure they're flicked down and all of our taps are shut. Then what we can do is come and turn on our water pump. So this is pump on, and we're going to come to our tap. All right, so I'm going to turn this onto the hot side. You can see I've got a nice steady flow of water coming out. You won't have that at first because I've already got this plumbed up. What you'll get is you'll hear the pump running, and you'll get coughing and sputtering out the tap while it pulls all the water out from our aqua roll, and it's filling up our boiler. That's of course pushing the air out of the boiler, and that's got to go somewhere. So that comes out of our tap, and we leave that to do its thing until we get a steady flow of water. Then we know we've filled our boiler up and we've purged all the air out of the system. We do that in here. We also do it in the shower, and we do it in the bathroom as well, in the sink. All right. Then do it for the cold leg of the system. There you go. You see a bit of air in the system there. This, of course, will be much quicker because we're not filling up a boiler. It's coming directly off of the aqua roll. Okay. So we're going to do that in there. We're going to do it in here as well, just to make sure everything is doing what we think it should do, like so. And then in our shower as well. Yeah, everything is doing what we're supposed to do. Good. Then we want to start heating that water up in the boiler, of course, and potentially putting our heating on. I mean, not today, but we'll have a look at how to do it. This is our main Aldi panel here. Okay, so this is our on and off button just there. All right. So we turn the panel on. This is our standby screen. It tells us the temperature inside the van, and it tells us that we're plugged into mains. Press the menu button, that wakes the panel up. Now this is really easy to use. We'll start at the top and work down. At the top is our internal temperature of the van. All right, so this is all touchscreen. So if you want the heating off, you would just have it all the way down. Okay, and then you can go all the way up to 30 degrees. All right, and just leave it. There's a thermostat, so it's a bit like your car. You just set it to the temperature you want it to be, and it will do the job for you. Next one down is our hot water. Off like this. So the triangle is empty. Okay, in the middle it has hot water on. That will heat that boiler up to about 60 degrees. All right, so it's quite hot water that comes out of there, so do be mindful if you're just running it on the hot tap, especially if there's young uns around. And we also can fill the triangle up. Now what that will do is that's almost like an override or a boost function. So if you're going to have a couple of back-to-back showers, or you wanted to heat that water up really quickly, you could put it on the boost setting. That will then concentrate all of its power into heating that hot water rather than, say, the heating. But that will revert back to its normal setting after about 15 minutes. So it's just an override to make sure the boiler is constantly heating the water for that period of time. As I say, it will divert back to this setting after I think it's 15 minutes. All right. Then we want to decide how we're going to use our heating and hot water. Are we plugged into mains in a site, in which case we'll just be running the heating off of our 240 volt power. If we're in the middle of a field somewhere, we haven't got mains electric, we'll be running it off of the gas. Obviously I'm plugged into mains at the moment, so we're going to come and have a look at the setting with the little electric lightning bolt there. So we can have the heating completely, or the power completely off. We can have it on 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts, okay? Now the reason we can have that is depending on what site you're on, you'll have access to different amounts of power. And also what else you're using in the van, of course. So if I was, say, running the heating on 3 kilowatts on my hot water, and I had my fridge going on mains, and I kept flicking my kettle on, and I kept tripping my van out with my trip switches here, it means I'm trying to draw too much current through the van. So I may want to come down here, drop this down to 2 kilowatts or 1 kilowatt to allow me to have power to use elsewhere in the van, all right? You'll find 2 kilowatts will work absolutely fine and run the system beautifully. In fact, 1 kilowatt as well. Once everything's heated up, you'll be surprised in you know, it will keep everything, certainly in the summer, will keep the hot water, no problem at all. If we're off grid and we want to light the boiler on gas, we just come and quite simply just press the gas button. That will light the boiler on gas, assuming of course we've turned our gas bottle on and we've got enough gas in the gas cylinder. We can use it with a combination of the two, so you can light it on gas and use the electric as well. So you can use up to 3 kilowatts electric and the gas. Say it was really cold and you wanted to heat the van up really quickly, you could potentially do that and then turn your gas off and drop your kilowattage down or whatever you want to do. But just so you're aware, you can use it with a combination of the gas and the electric as well. But 9 times out of 10, I would imagine that's not going to be the case. There are other settings we can go into. We can set timers and priorities and things like that. I'm not going to go into that now. There is an instruction manual which will be in your front drawer over here if you want to go into those settings. To be fair, I've never used them myself. I just like to know how warm is it in my van? Is my hot water on, off or on boost? Am I using electric or gas? And if I'm using electric, how much am I using? All right, so it really is as simple as that. So it's quite an easy system to use. What we'll do is we'll just have a look at our power supply unit down here after we talked about those trip switches. All right, this is split into 2 bits, 240 volt at the top, so that's everything that's coming through at the mains hookup, and this is all everything from do with our battery to all of our blade fuses, a bit like you get in a car. Tells you what they all do, so if you do need to change your fuse, this is where you come to. Again, if you're tripping things out, a bit like at home, this is where you come to look at that. The main thing we're going to talk about though is our RCD. Here is our main RCD where things are coming into the van. If you're struggling to get mains power into the van, you're plugging things into your the 3-pin sockets here, or domestic sockets, and nothing's working. The chances are it's probably where you're plugged into is the issue, because they will also have trip switches. So if you're struggling to get mains power or the heating's not working on mains, come in here and just press the little test button, which is the little blue button up here. Okay, if you press this and nothing happens, we're not getting power into the van. It's where you're plugged into. All right, what we're looking for is to press that and this to trip, because that means there's power coming to the van. So if you think you're not getting power in, it's a good way to test it is come and press that button, and if it drops, then you know you are. If it doesn't, you need to go and check where you're plugged into. So just a little bit of quite a good little tip, because 9 times out of 10 it will be where you're plugged into. Right, we'll just talk about a few other bits around the van. Let's talk windows very quickly. They hold open with these screws at the top here, okay? So one on each side. So we open the window and then tighten it up on those, and that will hold the window out to the openness that you want, if that's the right word to use. And then when we want to shut them, we just slacken them off. The window will shut, and then we've got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. These have got little buttons in on the bottom to lock them in place, all right? And then the opposite to open them up, of course. There is a breather setting, so you've got like A and B, it says on here, so the locking is all the way over, and if you want to leave it slightly open but still locked, you can do, just by slotting them into the middle. That will still allow a bit of airflow in the van, so if you're going out for the day and it's a hot day like today, you still want a bit of air in here, you can do that. But if you're leaving it for any period of time or travelling or anything like that, do make sure they are closed properly. You've got your fast charger here, which runs off of the 12 volt system. So this is a wireless charger for your phone, so you can charge things up. Every window will have a blind, all right? And any window that opens will have a blind and a flight screen as well. Easier said than done with one hand, but you pull it down from the top. So yes, so that is all of that. Your TV point and everything is over here. You've got a couple of USB sockets. TV point is there. Your TV aerial is sitting up here. This is the directional TV aerial in the downwards position at the moment. when we get to site, we want to use it. We undo the locking nut and we can push the whole aerial up. That will push it all the way up and lock it into place. And we've got this little handle here. We can change the plane of the aerial to try and get a better signal, and can move the whole aerial around. That then comes through to our booster box, which is over here. The on-off switch is in the top corner, and that's the gain for it. I would just leave it on maximum, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, that is for our TV aerial outside. Let's go into our fridge area, kitchen area, I should say. When we're traveling, we've got all these glass panels and everything. We do make sure that these are down when we're traveling, and also we make sure our microwave plate is no longer in here. You'll find this in your book pack in your front drawer, so that you haven't got to worry about that for now. But you do see these smashed on the floor, so do make sure you're traveling not with that in. Your hob, 3-burner gas hob, electric hot plate. Electric hot plate will only work when we're plugged into mains. Gas, of course, will only work if we've turned our gas bottle on and we've got enough gas in the bottle. It works very much like you would expect it to. So to light the gas, we hold it down and then press the igniter button, and there we go. It's always a good idea when you first turn your gas on, come in and turn the hob off just for a couple of minutes, or not even that, 30 seconds or so, just to get all that air out of the system. All right. So when you come to light other things on gas, it will be easier. The electric hot plate works by using this one over here, all right, and it does tell you all the way along here which one does which. We light the gas, oven and grill in exactly the same way, okay. We've talked about our water anyway, so we know where our sink is, and we know we've got our hot water and our mixer tap here. Let's talk about the fridge. Okay, so this is the Dometic 3-way fridge. Can open from both sides. Okay, we've got our freezer section in the top. Right, we've had the fridge on overnight, so it's nice and cool. We've got this wheel here that deals with everything, basically. So this is our on-off switch, and it's everything. So I'm just going to turn this off for the minute. There we go. So what you do is to come in and turn it on by holding it down. Right, so we've got our temperature at the top, so we can change our temperature. But we use the wheel for everything, okay? So click on the temperature, and then we can go how warm we want it. Okay, then we're going to come down to the next one, and this is our power source. Now you've got an auto setting, and this is what I would suggest leaving it on, to be honest, because it will pick its preferred power source. So if it knows you're plugged into mains, it will power it on mains. If it hasn't got mains power, it will light it on gas. And when you plug it into the car, if it's got the right connection on your car, then it will run the 12 volt from your car as well. So that's the best one to leave it on, but we can of course change it manually. So we can have it on 12 volt, we can have it on gas, we can have it on mains power. But again, auto is the one to leave it on, really. So that's kind of the basics of how the fridge works. Again, if you want to go into some more details, you can do. There are other settings, like defrost settings and things like that. But the temperature is obviously the most important one, and then of course how we're powering the fridge. But if you leave it on auto, you really have, to be honest, don't have to worry too much about it. So that is all how that works. So that makes a lot of sense. Little hidden light switch under here. They do like to hide light switches from us sometimes, so that is for your under counter lighting just there. All right. Your microwave, of course, is only 240 volt as well, so that will work when you're plugged into mains. Other than that, it will not. Got storage under there. Well, there are some gas isolators somewhere. Yeah, so these are our gas isolator valves just here. If you do need to isolate a certain piece of equipment in here, you can do, but that's just where the isolators are on, and you can see it says gas valve positions. So that's not that you should really need to worry too much about those, but it's always good to know where these things are. All of our reading lights here are all touch sensitive. Okay, so we've got 2 settings on those. We also have an omni vent. Okay, so this can either blow air in or pull air out like an extractor. Okay, so the way we open it up is we turn the little knob here, that opens the top of it, and then of course on off switch there, and then we can select whether we want it to go blow air in and blow air out, and what speed we want it to do it at. So simple as that. And to turn off, we just press that. Not forgetting, of course, when we're finished using it or we're travelling, to turn this down. It's quite easy to forget because you can't see that one. All right, but of course it does have a blind as well, which pulls across and locks into place. Just be careful with these; they do ping back quite violently if you don't watch it. All right, so just beware of that. Right, bathroom. Love the bathroom here. So we've got our towel rail here. We know we've got Aldi heating, so it's like a radiator system, hence why we get a nice towel rail. That is very, very good. The main thing we need to talk about in here really is the shower. In fact, actually, just before we do that, not the shower, the toilet, sorry. This is our Aldi boiler header tank here as well, all right? So this is the fluid that goes around the radiator system. So you just need to make sure it basically stays within minimum and maximum. So yeah, it will fluctuate depending on whether the heating's on and off, but it will, it will bubble away sometimes when it's working. But just make sure it's in between the minimum and the maximum. As I say, I think it's when it's off, it's going to be nearer the minimum, and when it's on, it's going to be nearer the maximum. Right, let's talk about the toilet. So we looked at our cassette outside. Our flush tank is sitting in the top here, and our cassette is sitting in the bottom down here. All right, so we use the toilet in the normal way. This is our flush button. All right, so we'd use the toilet, press the flush button. This would fill up with our coloured water into the bowl, and then we have a gate at the bottom. All right, so we have this lever here, so we push this over to one side, and then that will open the gate. Everything will drop down into the cassette, and then we close that all the way up. That creates a seal between the van and the cassette. Simple as that. Making sure this is all the way over, okay? Because that's what's trapping the smells and everything in. Also, if you're struggling to get the cassette from the outside out, it's normally because this isn't all the way over. So don't try and force it. Just come in here, make sure that that's all the way over. Otherwise, you might break something. This is a little this illuminates when it's time to empty the toilet cassette as well. All right. This toilet does spin as well to make yourself more comfortable when you are sat on the toilet as well. If you are, just in case you don't have tiny legs. That is kind of it really. In here's your freestanding table, so you can use that in your dining area, or of course outside if you wish to as well. Okay, right, that's the basics of how everything works, and setting it up. Let's now go the other way and start breaking everything down. So we have had a good holiday, we're ready to start going home, so we're going to start getting ourselves ready for the road. I'm going to make sure everything is secure. I'm going to turn off my fridge. Bearing in mind that the fridge doesn't run off of the main control panel, because you can use it when you're towing. So you do need to make sure you come and turn this off separately, otherwise you will drain your battery down. So fridge off if you're not using it when you're traveling. Then we're going to start draining the system down. So we're going to come and find, in fact, no we're not. We're going to come and turn off our water pump first. In fact, I'm just going to turn off the whole panel. All right, because that will turn everything off. Then we're going to drain all the water out of our boiler, so we're going to flick these switches to the upwards position. We can hear all that water draining down. We're then going to kind of open all of our taps, and we're going to leave them open in between the hot and cold. The reason for that is it allows air through the whole system. So if you get any freezing weather, if there's water trapped in the system, water expands when it freezes, and we end up with cracked taps, water pipes, and the next time you come and plumb your van up, you've got a leak somewhere. So even though that's only really of a concern in the winter, if you get in the habit of leaving your van fully drained down and all your taps open, you're not going to get caught short, because we do see it a lot where people forget to winterize their van. All right, so leave everything open in between hot and cold, and if you do that as a matter of course, you're not going to have any problems. All right, we're then going to secure everything down, and we're ready to go outside. Close all your windows, close all your skylights of course. Turn off your gas, make sure it's strapped in. You're then going to empty your aqua roll. All right, you're going to empty your waste master, you're going to stow those away, you're going to unplug your mains lead. Of course, you're going to unplug it from the van first, and then you're going to go and unplug it from the other side. You're going to empty your toilet, you're going to do all of your wastewater as well. Okay. You're going to pull your cooler steadies up and make sure again everything is secure, locked down, and hitch up to the car ready to go. So that is the basics of how everything works. If you're unsure of anything, pick the phone up. We are here to help. Yeah, thanks for watching and enjoy your new van.